The opening shots of George Clooney's 2020 sci-fi film The Midnight Sky reminded me of a silly internet trend that emerged at the beginning of this worldwide pandemic. A bleak observatory in the Arctic, a vacant meeting room, and a deserted pantry. The trend I'm talking about are liminal spaces. Get a bowl of your favorite chips as we dive deep to your favorite flick here in Flick and Chips. Today, we are going to talk about the midnight sky, spaces of home, post-apocalypse, and pandemic. Be advised that there are spoilers ahead. As the internet defines it, particularly according to a video made by Solar Sands, a liminal space is a transitional space that is unsettling. The concept of liminal spaces emerged when uncanny, disorienting, nostalgic photos of several places like fast food chains, supermarkets, and bowling alleys have gone viral online for the unsettling effect it emanates. It is also believed that photos of liminal spaces trigger autophobia, the fear of being alone, basically because these places were once full of people, but now the people are gone. The places that once thrived from human interaction are now just mere construction of walls, ceilings, furnitures, and appliances, never to be used again. The opening shots of the midnight sky evoked the same feeling. The immediate bleakness of the scene urges you to ask, where are the people? What kind of lonely observatory is this? And then, our lone protagonist, Dr. Augustine Lofthouse, enters the frame. You may ask, how is he alone in the observatory, a place where Jesus once worked? He may be left alone, as your experience in watching sci-fi films may suggest. You may remember The Martian, where Matt Damon was accidentally left alone and was forced to survive on Mars. However, it was the total opposite of that. In fact, Augustine chose to be left alone, despite being a terminal patient which requires him to do his own blood transfusions. He is facing the thing that we could not bear, the thing we deeply fear the most, being alone. To be alone in the time when the whole planet has become a liminal space in an attempt to communicate to people in space is the midnight sky's premise. An interesting question begs to be asked. Isn't the universe an enormous liminal space itself? The Ether is the only space mission that has successfully found a habitable planet by following Dr. Lofthouse's studies. They're on their way back to Earth, but unbeknownst to them, Earth is no longer their home. The other half of the midnight sky happens in space. Its narrative juggles between scenes from the post-apocalyptic Arctic and the Ether space crew. By juxtaposing inner and outer space, the film effectively established its conflict and motive: distance and home. The mysterious event that led to the Earth's apocalypse in the midnight sky resulted in the destruction of the planet. The details that led to the event is not disclosed in the film nor in the novel Good Morning Midnight, the original novel by Lily Brooks Dalton in which the film was adapted. However, the dialogue implies that the event was man-made, as in the scene where Augustine and Sully from the Ether talk via radio transmission.
I'm afraid we didn't do a very good job of looking after the place while you were away.
So now what's left in the Arctic is the cold loneliness. The COVID-19 pandemic has forced us to be isolated in the comfort of our own home, causing many people and establishments to be evacuated. Is it man-made as well, like the event? We could imply the same. As the virus was zoonotic, or spread among species of animals, particularly bats, we are reminded to maintain proper distance from other species of animals. And what do humans do? We turn forests into cities, we rob animals which may harbor infectious diseases in their habitats. The pandemic, just like the event, made us aware of each breath we take. It draws a line of distance between ourselves and the people we love. In distance, there is no warmth. The Midnight Sky's release is just in time to join the dialogue concerning viruses and global environmental issues as well. Since the pandemic seems to have trapped us into the confines of our houses, The Midnight Sky embarked as a journey in search for a second home. The Ether found K-23, a planet that is, according to the film, capable of being a second home to the human race. But this is just one of the second homes we could interpret in the Midnight Sky. The Ether spacecraft is a second home as well. There was a wonderful sequence when Sully and Maya needed to repair their spacecraft from the outside while Sanchez and Mitchell were on board. They were depicted almost as a family when Sweet Caroline played. This scene effectively subverted the serious astronaut stereotypes commonly found on space sci-fi films. Aside from that, other familial chemistry was established in the Ether. Mitchell and Sanchez thinking and suggesting baby names for Sully, and Maya being viewed by Sanchez as a daughter figure. The spacecraft, not known to them, has already become their second home. The irony is this: in order to find a second, more sustainable home, you need to leave your current one. It is also commendable that the Ether's crew was diverse enough to echo one of the call to actions that was heard during the global pandemic. We're all in this together. Aside from literally being located at the end of the world, the Arctic Circle has been an effective representation of Augustin Lofthouse's psyche. At the beginning of the film, he is seen popping pills and drinking liquor. This denotes that Augustin, while trying to save humanity, is going through something emotional. His emotional baggage was conveyed through the use of flashbacks that also led to the film's twist ending. The scenes seem to be abrupt as they keep on transitioning from Augustin, the Ether, and his past. A review on Roger Ebert criticized this by saying, "Clooney can't stick with a thread long enough to build tension or drama. We don't feel Augustin's commitment or drive because we're constantly jumping to the tedious characters in the Ether, or, much worse, to the flashbacks that serve no emotional or character purpose until the final act twist is revealed." While the review would like to believe that the flashbacks serve no emotional purpose, it could be interpreted by looking at the contrast of the scenes. The flashbacks are color-graded in a warm way, while Augustin's present is situated in a vastly bleak world. The coldness of the Arctic also means Augustin's inability to be emotionally available. That is why he clings to his past. His coldness has literally become his home. A glimpse of his coldness and self-pity is seen through his conversations with Iris, the orphan child he found in the pantry. At the beginning, Augustin also said that he's not capable of helping Iris on getting back home, although the reasons were not fully explained. This could justify why tension or drama is repeatedly held back throughout the film, as we are following the psyche of a man whose emotions have grown cold as the Arctic. In bleakness, there is emotion. That's what the Midnight Sky has shown. Even though Augustin doesn't show any emotional warmth throughout the film, the final scene revealed how emotionally invested Augustin is with his mission to send back the Ether to K-23.
I'd like to suggest something.
I mean, why face the risk of dying from hypothermia? Also, why try to save humanity when it caused its own destruction in the first place? That is because Augustin puts his hope into Iris, or Sully. And Iris, the orphaned child he's with, may just be a figment of his imagination, a manifestation of his neglect and compensation for Iris, his own daughter, who has now found and set to build a second home on K-23. That is because Augustin hopes that the distant future would be better compared to the relatively not-so-distant future the film is set to, year 2049. Maybe it's hope that makes us look after one another. We're in the same sky after all. As always, that's all we could chip in for the flick we discussed today. If you loved this video, don't forget to click like. And if you want more film analysis, consider visiting and subscribing to our channel. We hope you enjoyed your bag of chips as we discussed your favorite flick here in Flick and Chips.